Hey guys, welcome to part 2. Now I'm going to go over the helmet decals and how these will work. What you're going to want to do is cut inside these gray outlines. You want to be sure to cut them each as one piece and not cut them up into several pieces. But if they're several pieces like this, it's just one piece here. You want to cut it as one piece and it goes to here. This whole visor piece is one piece. You got to cut it very carefully along the lines. I will use scissors and I cannot record it because I gotta have a wacky camera position to show you guys. But it's just a matter of cutting inside the outline. It was made there to help you guys, and it's helped me for figures I haven't done. So I'm going to quickly cut these out, and I will show you what's next. All right, guys, we're back. I just cut out all the decal out of here. This was just attached to this, but when I cut helmet decal, I like to cut it off from the decal sheet. So this is what you should have. This is what I have, at least. I went ahead and put the visor in the water because that's the first decal I ever put in the water, and then the rest are just waiting to be put in the water. Kind of in order and process it all goes in, so I will help you guys out with that. So I'm gonna grab my handy dandy headstand. It's just two heads glued to each other on a 2x6 flat piece. I use it when I'm decaling because if they're not glued, some helmets have the chance of being able to pick up the heads and not come out. Trust me, I've had plenty of instances where that happens and it's not fun. So glue your heads, preferably get like old heads you won't use like this. I've been used for drilling, and that's just an old head that had sculpting putty on it for a reason I'm not aware of. So I'm going to grab my tweezers, mentioned in the decal application process. I'm going to grab the visor decal out of the water. I'm going to put it on my finger. Only reason you ever touch decals with your finger is to separate the decal from the paper. So I just slid it off. I grab the tweezers with one end so it doesn't fold up in the middle. I'm going to use my decal application liquid. I'm using a different stuff than mentioned in the decal overview. This is not needed. It just makes the process so much faster. I'm using Microset Microsol, which I discussed in my last video. So I'm just going to put the decal on like so. You can see I only put one side on because I want to line one side at a time. Don't want to waste my time just putting one on. And once you have the other one, you can kind of just fit it on. And then make sure this earpiece, this black piece goes on the ear cap. If it's not in the ear cap, you're doing it wrong. Make sure these blue breathers on the bottom are down here where the old breathers were wiped off, or near where the old breathers were wiped off. Doesn't have to be fully exact as long as it looks pretty. The black line needs to go right where this ridge is. If you do that, it just doesn't look right. Alright, and once you have it lined up, you're going to grab your sponge. My handy dandy sponge that I've cut up for reasons for decal application and stuff. Don't question why. Don't need to do that. Just grab your sponge, press on it. Press on as hard as you want to. Make sure you get all the air bubbles out, because if you forget about some air bubbles, you're screwed. Trust me, I know. So you want to grab everywhere. You want to just make sure all sides have been pressed on, don't have air bubbles. The main areas I would look out for and press really hard on, make sure there are no air bubbles, are the cheeks, the little gaps right here. Those happen to be where lots and lots of air bubbles form, so please be careful right there. Second piece I'm going to put on is going to be the piece right below the fin that goes like wraps around it for the Jesse symbol, the Republic symbol. The third piece will be this back piece that goes on the back of the helmet, which connects the black and blue, like I said, to line up with the ridge. It's going to line up with it as well. We want to be very careful to align it perfectly. If it's not perfect, it's cool. Don't worry about it. You can get it on another figure. Don't worry. I always try to line up as best as I can before I seal. Therefore, it looks the best it can. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Republic symbol.
And my gold scare.
Slide it off with my finger like I did for the visor. Put it in the trash. I keep a little bucket on here for little decal scraps and trash. Put my decal application liquid. Don't need to, but I recommend it. For beginners, you don't need it whatsoever. Make sure you line it up super well. Make sure the empty spots go here. So there are no gaps between that and the fin. And make it get as close as you can, make it look as nice. See, it's all lined up. Gonna use my sponge. Press on it. Trying to hope it stick, so there are no water or anything stopping it from sticking. And so when sealant comes on it, it'll look fine. So there we go, I got the Republic symbol. I'm going to grab the earpieces very carefully, twist it on the back, so I can access the back, because most of the remaining decals will go on the back. However, the front breathers will go on last, because these decals like to come off very easily when I apply them, so I usually save them for last. I'm going to go ahead and put my remaining of the decals in the water. I usually put them in one at a time so they're not confusing. Grab my decal application liquid, put a little bit on the back where this last, or one of these decals is going to go. Slide it off. Grab. This little hole is going to go right where this little dot goes. So you're just going to, set it on top to where your tweezers won't hold on to it. Doesn't have to be perfect when you put it on. You can use your tweezers to adjust it as you need to. Make sure it looks nice and pretty. So there we go, it's all lined up. For beginners, this may take longer than how it's taken me. I've done this for 2.5 years now, so I kind of have the experience.
Oh my gosh!
So just take your time and line it up. You can use your sponge to get it on. And you want to be careful sometimes when you're applying stuff. The decals don't want to stick. So I'm going to put this Republic symbol back in the water while I finish putting the sponge on the back decal. Don't ever forget about any places where the sponge should go. Otherwise, the decal will not stick properly and it will fly off when you're sealing. I've had that happen, trust me. I'm going to grab the decal that fell off, reapply it like I just did earlier.
I'm gonna report them for abuse. That's what it felt like. Are you gonna play with this set?
Going to just line this up right. Decal process is usually never perfect, so I'm reapplying this Republic symbol.
Which one?
Pressing hard so it'll stick. And then I'm going to look at the last decals on this figure, which are the blue pieces right there. They will go on the back of the helmet. Not many people see these decals. I've noticed some people haven't used them in the past, so be sure to use them, peoples. There's some good decals. So this is the bit of a tricky part. You're going to grab a decal, slide it off with your finger, boop, grab it with your tweezers, get some of that decal application liquid, make it a little bit faster. I think it's this one, yeah. So you're going to grab your decal, slide it on here. Doesn't have to be perfect when you first slide it on, don't worry. You just don't want it to stick to the tweezers at first. Then you're just going to line it up slowly but surely. I usually use my little pointy end. Some tweezers are sharper, so if your tweezers are sharp, I wouldn't recommend using your pointy end. So there you go, it's all lined up. You're going to use your sponge and very carefully put pressure on it to get all the air bubbles out. There we go. And you're going to do the same to the opposite side. I'm just going to go ahead and put the front breather on. And I'm not going to put decal application liquid on since it's not needed for this last decal. I'm just going to slide it into place.
Yep, you did.
It's going to look somewhat like that. And you use your sponge, press it down so it sticks. Boom. You have your Jesse helmet. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I continue to create this tutorial, hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be moving on to the torso, and then arms, and then legs next. See you guys then.